Ah, c'est la famille. Oh, c'est beau les images, c'est très beau. Ils ont bossé là. Wow. Oh là 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 là. Ok. Oh non. Wow. C'est tellement classe. Ah oui, elle est forte. Bon, elle est clairement Black Rose, hein. Mais elle est clairement Black Rose, on a vu des pétales de rose. Oh la petite mamie. Il veut des cupcakes. Hein? Ok, qu'est-ce que ça veut dire maintenant? The Last Drop. Il y avait un bar hier qui s'appelle comme ça, The Last Drop.
So no spoilers, but have you seen the most recent episode?
Of course, it was
Elle,
amazing.
c'est la lead
How about
designer
the scene where
du
the
7-13.
Barons team up with Jinx and Vi in order to take down the Enforcers and the Firelights, but it all came down to the giant Hextech of Mumu and the Blitzcrank, and I think I'm talking about the ranked game I played before bed last night.
That reminds me. I need to tell everybody how the set is evolving.
Ouais.
It felt so real.
C'est un humoriste lui, attends, je le connais, il est trop marrant en plus.
Hey Tacticians, we're back so soon, but so much has happened. If you're still catching up on Arcane's second season and want to avoid spoilers,
Oui.
I'd suggest coming back to this
Regardez
video
pas
at a
la...
later
Si vous avez pas vu Arcane saison
Consider
2.
yourself warned.
Spoiler alert.
Hopefully you've been having fun with the set so far.
Oui.
But if there's anything we know about the world of Arcane, it's that you should never let your guard down. Things are about to change.
Oh là 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 là, des
Last time we
psychos.
checked in, you may have noticed that some very important Arcane characters were missing from the set.
Oui, on a remarqué,
That's
oui.
because we wanted to wait until we could give them the entrance they deserve. Warwick, Victor, and Mel are joining into the Arcane as ultra-powerful 6 costs. They're rare, extremely rare, lucky to even see one rare.
Ah oui,
But when you do come across them, prepare to insta-buy.
ah oui.
All right, let's introduce the trio. First up, Warwick. He jumps around, executing enemies, and as soon as a few have died, Warwick enters a frenzied state, becoming unstoppable, ripping enemies apart with increased damage and omnivore. If you see a Warwick on the enemy board, do your best to deal with him first, or it's going to be a rough one. Next, there's Victor. Because after everything that went down in Season 2, a transformation seemed in order. Lucky for us, the League team provided us one glorious, extremely tall evolution. This 6-cost fires his death ray instead of auto-attacking, can stun entire boards, and will make everyone a believer, whether they like it or not. Last but not least, Mel. Mel is at the peak of her power, dashing around the battlefield, reducing damage to allies, and unleashing stored damage. And the kicker is Mel's last stand. She'll shield your tactician from
Elle
death.
protège ton tacticien de la mort.
Time to clap back.
Oh non, c'est un last stand,
Can't
frère.
wait to see how players evolve their strategy to incorporate these late game win conditions. Let's head up to our Council of Devs to talk about bringing Arcane into TFT with our new 6 costs.
So with the 6 cost, we had a really exciting gambit to make and a really exciting challenge, frankly. These champions have to be cooler than every other champion who's ever been in TFT.
Ouais.
They have to be more powerful than every champion who's ever been in TFT, and they have to be bigger than every champion who's been in TFT. Luckily, these are characters we're really passionate about, we're really excited about. We love all 3. Mel, Warwick, and Victor. So let's get right into the rarity.
Ok,
of them.
la
I think that was a
rareté,
really
c'est le plus
defining
important.
factor of how we get to make these guys special.
You
Ouais.
have to be the biggest, the coolest, and the strongest units TFT has ever seen. And then we have to balance them.
Yeah.
And so the first thing we're gonna do is, well, we want people to see Arcane, immediately go into their game and see these amazing, cool characters and experience the battles and the tension and the high moments from the shell. And the way we're gonna do that is, first, they gotta be a little bit rarer, right? Players are probably not gonna see them until like the middle of stage 5.
Ok.
And more likely, you're gonna see them on stage 6. And they're not gonna be in every game. You're not gonna see one every single game. But when you do, they should be these huge wow moments. You pick them up, you see them, they're special, they're the main characters, and they're probably gonna be around a 2-star 4-cost in power. So if you imagine Remix Rumble and hitting your 4-cost headliner, imagine that, except you can start them up again and again.
The power difference that you mentioned, I think, is also really interesting from an audio and art perspective as well, since 5 costs for us are usually the ceiling, right? That's where we invest most of our effort to make them feel really special. But in this case, we don't want to take away from our 5 costs, but we want to raise the bar even higher for our 6 costs.
I think also the 6 costs all kind of get a big moment at some point.
Yes.
And I'm sure that gave you guys a lot to work with. All right, I think we're ready to talk about Mel. Her character arc in the show, going from a politician to an incredibly powerful mage, is so exciting, and I'm really glad we got to capture it.
How Mel discovers her powers, that was something we really wanted to translate through in the audio as well. We were very lucky. We were able to work with the Arcane audio team, and they were
Ah
able
ouais,
to send us
super.
over some of the sounds that they had used to create Mel's magic.
For animation side, we wanted to capture her elegance in her movements.
C'est très classe.
Also, one of her perk ability is to save Tactician from elimination, and that's where the VFX shines.
Donc c'est quand tu procs le last stand que là c'est trop la classe. Ouais, ok.
Yeah,
T'as
I
son masque.
think that was kind of the, when we just say like fun
Okay.
challenge, right? We wanted Mel to feel like you were cheating.
The first time we saw these 6-costs cast their ability and then read their passive, we're just like, there's no way they're allowed to do this. And then we go and talk to Julian, it's like, no, that's actually what we want. We want everyone to feel that feeling because hopefully everyone gets to play with one of these during the set. And they're just like, that's cool. That's what I want to do.
Moving on to Warwick. Warwick was a champion who kind of built the experiment trait. We knew from the start we were putting Warwick in. We said, great, let's just do this entire trait around him. And of course, by doing that, we did give a 6-cost a trait.
Julian comes up to me, he's like, Warwick has to be an experiment. He has to have a trait. He is the experiment.
Oh la
These 6-costs,
la.
You should think about putting them on your board whenever you see them in the shop. That's how good and that's how powerful they're going to be. And so you
Tu les
kind of
poses,
notice
tu les
when you read
utilises
all the
tout le
abilities that
temps,
they all
dès que tu
have
les
a
vois.
hook that is good when they're 0 items, and they all kind of transform when you have 3 items, right? Warwick is going to execute anyone on the board below 20% HP, and if you put 3 items on him, he
Bordel.
goes berserk. And if we put experiment, which has a nice little trigger whenever he kills something, he goes that extra level.
Warwick also has a lot of expectations behind him, right? Unlike Victor, who is really very different from his League of Legends interpretation, or Mel, who is a new character, Warwick, we wanted to feel like Warwick. Players love Warwick. Rachel, can you go into that process?
Of course, yeah. It's like you mentioned, we're already so familiar with how Warwick sounds in League of Legends and from previous iterations of TFT sets. So here, what we wanted to do was to make sure that we retained a lot of those audio cues so that he still feels familiar to what we already know, while at the same time making sure that we're incorporating as much of his arcane self as we can. 2 things that we focused on, for example, are 1, bringing in the sounds of the anomaly, the low gurgling, the high chittering sounds, along with some of the sounds of the shimmer, the shrieky type sounds that you'll hear with that, and really combining all of those to make his kit really shine.
For Warwick, we wanted to capture his movement to be more feral, berserk, kind of contrast to Mel, where she has a lot of arcs and slow movement. This time it's the opposite, where he should move very fast in straight lines, goes over the top, even in VFX and everything. Yeah.
All right, I want to talk about easily the most exciting 6-cost to make. One of your favorite characters from League, one of your favorite characters from the show, and your favorite 6-cost to play, Victor.
Victor is the pinnacle of challenges that Finalization faced, but also the cool things that we get to do with 6-cost, right? We've never printed a unit that not only hits the entire board, but also stuns the entire board, and then actually has the rest of his spell as well.
Yep.
And
Ay,
that just
ay, ay.
encapsulates what a 6-cost is. I think the set's design team came to us and says, hey, play these champions, and our play test, which is a bunch of Challenger and above players, can't be higher than Challenger, what am I saying? But a bunch of really, really good players, and the first time we see these abilities, we're just like, there's just no way they're trying to ship this. And they're like, no, that's the perfect reaction. That's what we want people to feel, and that's why we're making them these rare, super, super exciting moments in the game. And again, you're not going to see them every game.
Waouh.
You might see one every like one
Il
or
est
two.
vraiment en train de dire que
And
quand
if you're
t'en
lucky
trouves
enough,
un,
they'll be on your
tu as presque gagné
First
quoi.
seeing Victor's spell was awesome. I was like, oh, this is going to be such a cool moment for everyone. The really cool thing about it, though, is that from an audio perspective, something we're always thinking about is, you know, we've got up to 20 champions on the field at once. How do we make sure that the important gameplay moments are still audible for all of those champions? Because Victor is actually stopping everything for a second,
Aïe aïe
it gives us a moment
aïe.
where we're able to do a lot more sonically than we normally would. We have much more frequency spectrum room, so we're really able to bring out that anomaly-powered moment.
Victor was a very interesting character from the season 1 and season 2, where he changes over time. He starts with the innocent guy with a cane, becomes uncontrollable god, where he can influence everything, the whole universe. So we wanted to capture that in game, where his movements and everything is very calculated. And usually we try to align the thematics and his character and ability together. His animations will feel
Réagissez
like
pas
it's,
trop mal
he's
dans le chat,
very
on va en parler après,
effortlessly
on va en parler
lifting
après. Mais
everyone
réagissez
up,
pas comme
but
ça.
his actual
Il y a beaucoup de gens qui
influence
réagissent en
to
mode
the
oh là là
board
ça va être
in the
impossible,
game
ça va
is
plus la merde. Mais
massive.
tranquille, on
As
va en
for
parler.
power budget,
He is the pinnacle of what a 6 cost should be and what we want players to feel. Essentially, you write down what he does, he's broken. He's one of the main reasons we have such restrictions on getting a 6 cost, right? You're kind of guaranteed to get one at some point in the game, and if you're really lucky, maybe you can send your 6 cost into the anomaly, and then you have a probably OP champion becoming insane.
I really want to thank you all for joining me to talk about 6 costs.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So players have fun with the set.
Yes.
Macao Open.
Hey Tacticians, I'm Dylan,
Ah,
Global
ok, il parle de
TFT
Macao.
Esports Strategist. We're just a couple weeks out from the Macau Open, TFT's annual LAN tournament, where players come from far and wide to battle it out in a brand new set over the course of one incredible weekend. The best part about the Open is that anyone from anywhere can walk away with the belt. It'll be played on the updated version of Into the Arcane that has our new 6 cost, so expect to see the meta evolve as you watch, or play, or watch and play at the same time. But the tournament really is just the beginning. This is a weekend that's all about celebrating TFT. We'll have show matches on a LAN exclusive Mimi version of TFT, meet and greets with TFT stars, as well as an in-client hub. We'll also have a global roster of co-streamers and unique emotes to collect by watching them, and a cheeky new little legend inspired by this year's location and its iconically delicious egg tarts. Last but not least, on the final day, we'll reveal our 2025 roadmap with a preview of our set thematics for the entirety of next year.
Waouh.
Check out the article we just dropped for all the details. Before I send you back over to Sean to tell you about one last thing, we'll give you a sneak peek of Chibi releasing, especially for the Open. Chibi Porcelain Aurelia, show 'em what's what.
Chibi porcelaine Irelia.
We've got one last thing to share. We hope you've been loving our very first tactician in our new style. With this update, we're bringing another familiar face to join Jinx in the Convergence.
Ok, donc ça c'est un chibi
Every
mais pour
week
les
is now
adultes.
Warwick. Arcane Season 2's version of Warwick
Sympa,
is the ultimate
sympa.
expression of furiosity and uncontrollable
Oh là
bloodlust.
là.
And this new tactician will reflect exactly that.
Ah, j'avoue que là, si tu me le donnes celui-là. Oh là là.
Thanks so much for watching and playing. It's been a pleasure bringing Arcane to life in the Convergence, and we hope you love it.
Merci beaucoup madame. Un plaisir également. Ok le chat, on fait un topo, on fait un topo. On fait un topo. On peut revenir en arrière et on peut regarder toutes les annonces une par une. On vient de regarder ensemble la vidéo d'annonce des nouveautés qui arrivent dans TFT. Bientôt, on n'a pas la date exacte, il y aura le release des 3 nouveaux champions dans TFT. Ces 3 personnages 6 cost qui sont extrêmement rares à trouver, extrêmement difficiles à trouver. L'idée c'est qu'on ne va jamais les voir avant le stage 5 et la plupart du temps on va les voir au milieu stage 5 voire stage 6. Et selon les dires des développeurs, quand tu les vois dans ton shop, tu es obligé de les acheter. Ils sont complètement, je sais pas si le bon terme c'est broken, mais ils sont tellement forts que tu peux pas ne pas les jouer. Est-ce que tu as instantanément gagné la game quand tu les trouves? Je ne sais pas. Normalement non, ça serait trop facile. Mais voilà. Alors de ce qu'ils ont dit, Victor et Mel n'ont pas spécialement de synergie en commun avec les autres. Par contre, ils ont vraiment insisté sur Warwick qui est une expérimentation, qui est le roi de l'expérimentation. Bon. Mel, elle fait des boucliers partout, j'ai l'impression que c'est un petit peu un corps à corps. Hein. Elle met des boucliers, elle sauve les gens et elle va apporter à ta petite légende un last stand. Ça veut dire que quand tu devrais mourir, normalement, tu ne mourras pas. Victor, il est capable de faire des dégâts avec son laser au lieu de ses auto-attaques. Et il va stun le board et faire des dégâts sur tout le monde. Tout le board et tout le monde va prendre des gros dégâts, enfin, chez les adversaires seulement. Et Warwick, quand il récupère des kills, il devient de plus en plus balèze et il faut absolument le tuer très rapidement, sinon il devient complètement inarrêtable. Ça, c'est le topo des 3 nouveaux champions 6 cost qui vont simplement venir se rajouter au champion pool actuel. Il n'y a aucun champion qui va être enlevé, il n'y a que juste 3 nouveaux champions qui vont apparaître. Donc ça sera bien en ligne pour le prochain, pour la LAN de Macao qui est dans 2 semaines seulement, donc c'est dans vraiment pas très longtemps. Et alors, il y a beaucoup de gens dans le chat qui ont réagi en disant « Oh là là, ça va être impossible à balance, ça va casser TFT ». Alors, n'hésitez pas à me dire ce que vous en pensez dans le chat. Normalement, donc ils l'ont dit pendant le truc, ils ont fait des games avec des joueurs challenger, probablement NA, pour tester un petit peu en avant-première. Normalement, c'est pas parce que tu vas récupérer l'un des 6 costs que tu vas automatiquement gagner. Je comprends la peur des joueurs, je comprends les gens qui disent que jusqu'à maintenant, TFT, ils ont des développeurs très gourmands et souvent, ils n'arrivent pas à balance convenablement ce qu'ils essayent de développer. Donc, plus qu'ils essayent de développer est gros, est impactant, plus nous, on a peur parce qu'on se dit, putain de merde, on ne pourra pas jouer au jeu, ça va être complètement cassé. Là, actuellement, il y a beaucoup d'anomalies qui sont gérées n'importe comment. Il y a beaucoup de bugs. Hein. Je ne sais pas si vous savez, je ne vais pas tous vous en parler parce que j'ai pas envie que vous le fassiez de votre côté, mais il y a beaucoup d'anomalies qui bug. Il y a beaucoup de champions qui bug aussi. Ils sont vraiment gourmands au niveau du développement. Et là, rajouter des 6 costs comme ça, là, vous voyez Lucide Victor. Ça, c'est vraiment colossal, quoi. Donc, on va voir comment ça se passe d'un point de vue de la balance. J'espère que le TFT compétitif ira bien. Jusqu'à maintenant, on a eu des bons patchs, on a eu des mauvais patchs, mais globalement, c'était toujours relativement jouable. Là, on n'a pas une méta qui est parfaite. On a les familles qui sont un petit peu au-dessus avec les Black Rose, mais avec le temps, ça va être corrigé. Je pense que là-dessus, on peut écouter. Là, on a vu le last end de Mel. Ça, c'est les grosses nouvelles annonces. Voilà, moi, j'avoue que je suis très hypé. Je sais pas si vous avez regardé la saison 2 d'Arcane, mais personnellement, j'ai adoré. C'est ma série préférée de tous les temps, d'assez loin, et notamment l'épisode 7. J'ai jamais vu une dinguerie pareille. Donc je suis très heureux que là ils rajoutent 3 personnages de Arcane dans TFT. Je pense que ça va ramener beaucoup de nouveaux joueurs dans TFT. Donc globalement pour moi en tant que créateur de contenu c'est une très bonne nouvelle. J'espère évidemment que les compétitions pourront bien se développer parce que c'est aussi très important que les meilleurs joueurs du monde puissent rivaliser les uns avec les autres sans jouer un jeu complètement cassé, quoi. Ça c'est le plus important aussi. Mais en tout cas au niveau de la hype, j'avoue que on s'y attendait tous un petit peu. On voit Into the Arcane sortir et pourtant les 3 personnages principaux de Arcane sont pas dedans, c'était un peu bizarre. Donc là on est content, hein. Globalement on est content. Du coup si c'est aussi rare d'en trouver un, on est bien d'accord, ça paraît impossible d'avoir un 6 cost 2 stars. Il est niveau 10 et il a 1,04% d'avoir des 6 cost. Le Warwick dans le shop, il a un icône un peu légendaire ultime. Et il est en prismatique d'ailleurs, il est en prismatique, vous avez vu? Alors potentiellement le 1,04 il évolue de round en round. XP, t'as des infos en surplus ou pas? Parce que potentiellement les odds d'avoir des 6 costs ils augmentent au fur et à mesure de la game. Attends, il y a un augment qui donne une quête en prisma qui donne des chances d'avoir un 6 cost, c'est ça que t'as dit? Quand tu complètes la quête ça donne un 6 cost, ça c'est un augment prisma, ok? Les odds augmentent au fur et à mesure au stage 5 et 6 mais pour tout le monde en même temps. Attends, tu peux être niveau 6 et voir des 6 costs le chat. Tu peux être niveau 6, niveau 5 et voir des 6 costs dans ton shop. Tout le monde a les mêmes odds de les avoir. Tous les rounds, les probas augmentent d'avoir des 6 costs. Donc il y a une stratégie peut-être d'économiser énormément d'argent pour que ça monte les probas et ensuite tu roll down, quoi. Je veux un entre-deux. Je veux un jeu cérébral, mais un jeu un peu spectaculaire. Et là, avec les 6 costs, on est toujours dans cette même thématique-là. Les gens jouent bien, ils s'entraînent toute l'année pour être les meilleurs possibles, mais ils doivent constamment interagir avec tous les éléments RNG qui vont arriver dans chacune des games.